It was lovely in the administrative section of the afternoon of the conference. We were just talking about the gift of administration and that, and how in Acts 6 there's just this lovely, liberating of those leaders to go and give themselves to the word and prayer that results in church growth. Well, hello and welcome to the Church Office Podcast. My name is Gavin Smith, and it's a joy to welcome you today to our Admin and Ops podcast. We love talking about the work of ministry behind the scenes, whether it's policy, admin, ops, mobilizing churches, good leadership, all these kind of things we love talking about on the podcast. And my good mate, Jon Wright, is on the podcast today. Welcome, mate.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
It is good to have him back, and you may have remembered him from a number of months ago when we were doing a bit of a kind of check-in, and Jon and I were serving at a UCAN conference, and we just thought it'd be really cool just to kind of have some musings from that. What do we enjoy? What do we get out of the sessions, and make the most of it? So before we jump into our conversation, let me do a big shout out to Gavin at Church Suite and the guys who do a brilliant job in serving churches with a fantastic database. And this database will serve you in so many different ways, from communications, rotas, planning, small groups, child check-in. There's a whole bunch of flows. There's a whole bunch of updates that they've just been working on over the last few months. There's some training that sits alongside it, so that if you pass it on to other people or you get more people involved, little admin teams, they're thinking about all this stuff and just do a brilliant job. So please go and check it out at churchsuite.com. Jon, mate, what a conference it was. So set the scene for us, because you were at the conference in Sale, weren't you, in Manchester?
That's it. Yes. No, it was amazing. It was a brilliant conference. It was really encouraging. And it was just a really encouraging time where we could come, we could worship together, we could have some sessions together. There were seminars, there were sort of breakout sessions, and actually just a real encouragement to spend some time with people in similar roles,
Yeah.
learning about what's going on, some of the great stuff to celebrate, and also some of the challenges and how we can be praying together for some of those things. So it was a real encouragement from that perspective, and just a great time
Yeah.
learning and sort of stretching what we know as well.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? And so Manchester Sale was the last one we did. So I represent, I'm a board member for UCAN, UK Church Administrators Network, and my job as part of that voluntary role is to kind of organize a conference. And we did one in Reading and one in Sale in Manchester, and two great venues. I think we had like 185 administrators and ops people in Reading, 110 in Manchester. So like, just the numbers for me was just like, God has been so kind to us. I don't know any other kind of administrators conferences, that are serving and encouraging and equipping administrators and managers in their roles. And it was a joy to be kind of part of this and to serve in it. So risky doing two venues, but it seems to have worked out. The numbers were great, and God was really kind in people signing up.
You guys did an amazing job organizing it, and as you say, just the numbers were incredible. And actually, with the theme being stronger together,
Yeah,
and just having that strength in numbers as well as sort of that sort of team element, it just really emphasized
yeah,
what that was all about, really.
yeah. It's great. And the Stronger Together theme was really kind of came about just because we know there are a lot of administrators who are on their own, and lots of guys don't get the opportunity to work in a team. They may be in a parish, in a rural parish, and they're not just overseeing one church in admin ops, so they're overseeing a number. And so there's a real diversity of like backgrounds in UCAN, a whole bunch of different denominations. People do stuff differently, but the whole thing is like we can learn from each other. The fact that we're all in this together, we don't want anyone to feel alone. Let's do this together. Let's do this ministry together and learn and grow together. There was a buzz throughout, wasn't there? And I felt that was particularly felt through Sale in Manchester.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And during the worship as well, actually, kind of everyone coming together, singing together, there was power in that, there was strength in that, as well as then some of those breakout seminar sessions where people could discuss whatever's going on, whether that's a denomination that you recognize and you sort of work within, or whether that's something that you go, hey, I don't know a lot about this, but let us kind of all pray for each other and
Yeah.
and learn a bit more about what each other's going
This
through.
is great. Great. So big thank you to those who came and spoke. And let's go through some of the sessions and kind of have a bit of chat about it. So first session was me, in fact, wasn't it? In terms of
You
just
did a
opening up
great
the
job. It
theme.
was brilliant.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
great.
Well, that's good. Good news. And then we spent a little bit of time thinking about the quiet revival, and particularly through the lens of like, how can admin and ops support this? So, yeah, Jon, give me some public feedback then, mate. How was the first session?
I think the quiet revival thing has been a real encouragement, and something certainly we've recognized elements of within the church, Frinton Free Church, where I come from. But the real encouragement was seeing the number of people that were nodding their heads along,
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
"Yeah, there's elements of that we recognize too." And there's some surprising statistics in that report.
yeah,
I'd encourage anyone that hasn't read that report to go and have a look at it. But that younger age group, particularly, that are coming up and sort of leading the way for church growth, is not something that we've necessarily seen for a little while.
yeah,
And it's just been really encouraging to see that is people's experiences across the churches, and also thinking about what that means as admin and ops people. What does that mean for our resources? What does that mean for our buildings? That was a point that you very
yeah,
well put across, and just kind of thinking into the future. Well, if this is the trend,
yeah,
what's next? What do we have to be
yeah,
doing and equipping ourselves for? So
yeah.
I thought that was it was a really good thing to be thinking about.
Yeah, it's great. And what, it was encouraging in terms of the number of people that were just tracking it and following along, saying, yeah, we've read the report, our leadership team have been going through it. We're seeing some of the findings in our place. And that is so encouraging, is that a younger age group coming. There's more diversity and ethnic diversity than ever before coming to the church. And yeah, we've been blessed over the last 3 or 4 months. We've kind of baptized like 35 people or something, which is crazy. And so many of them being in that younger age group. And it was just lovely to hear kind of churches talking about that and saying, yeah, God has been doing this in our church and this has been happening, and yeah, we've been so blessed in this area. And there was just this overwhelming sense of, isn't God just been so good to our church? And nobody really saw it coming. Do you know what I mean? The whole sense of it being a quiet revival was kind of like just wonderful, isn't it? It's not a big splash. It's nobody's like chasing after revival. God's just at work, isn't he, in his church? And it's amazing to hear the stories.
It is. It's absolutely. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. And of course, it's not the story absolutely everywhere. But I think as a church, United Church across the country, it's a real encouragement to see that.
Yeah. And like I was saying in my message, it may not be you may not be experiencing it fully in your church, but maybe there's a sense of, call to prepare, call to just kind of lift our eyes from our work. And a couple of points in the message was, how do we have a kingdom view of, what's God doing right across our church? Because we can be quite focused, can't we, on our tasks lists and admin and ops and what we're doing, but actually miss where God's doing stuff across the church. And then also across the wider church. And so how do we get that kingdom view? But there was some great people came up with some ideas, because part of the message was to inspire and to challenge and to encourage people to say, right, how does admin and ops support this? If this kind of growth, if rapid growth is happening, if we're seeing this diversity, how do we get behind this, and what kind of impact does that have on us? And people came up with some good ideas. I don't know, did anything come up in your group, Jon?
I think we were sharing experiences a lot in terms of our experiences of what that's looked like within our churches. I think there's so many different ideas, though, isn't there, that you
Yeah,
can really step forward with, and just noticing some of those generational trends in terms of what people are doing activity wise, what's going to appeal to certain generations and certain groups of people, what's going to have an impact, and how would that affect the resources that a church has. It's a great challenge, and a really important thing to think about.
yeah. It was interesting. Like I've been contacted by two people after the conference, and one was saying that they'd been inspired by this younger generation wanting to know more about God, that she put together like not kind of a new believers pack, but almost like a kind of questions pack that they could have ready, that the church was equipped to see someone come in and, yeah, great, we can have a conversation, but they had some resources immediately. They could send them off. I was like, that is such a really cool idea. And it just like came from the discussion and came from that point of, right, I can do something here to support this. So brilliant lady. And then the other one was just saying about just how they've gone away and gone, right, how good is our website? How is it reaching this 18 to 35? And, and immediately have gone, right, we're going to have an audit on the website. We're going to have some focus groups. We're going to engage some people in all the different demographics, but particularly with a focus around younger people who are using those websites and stuff, and our church websites. And they're a bit of a front door, aren't they? And it's like, how do we do this well? And so immediately there's this application of, actually, this is where our church is at. This is a takeaway point for me from the day. And I was like, I really appreciate people getting in touch and saying, hey, this is how it kind of sparked a thought and an idea, and I've got to put it into action, within like a week of a week of this podcast, they're already on it, so I love that. But a lot of our discussion again in our group was around how do we kind of distribute resources and having to rethink that. So
Yes.
one of the recommendations being people are looking for community, for that authentic relationship. So how do you do that? And how can people are asking me now in our ministry teams, we want to eat together more regularly.
Yeah.
We want our ministry teams to come together and not just have training, but have food together and fellowship. And you're like, oh, wow, this is all going to get a bit messy. It is, John, isn't it?
It is. No, absolutely. Messy in a good way, though.
Yeah.
An exciting kind of messy.
Yeah.
And I think your point about the website, arguably social media as well, if a church has social media, even the way that, you could give to the church,
Yeah.
the sort of idea of a cash offering now to a certain generation, they may not have cash on them. It's, a lot of churches moving forward with kind of card payments, Apple Pay, QR codes, all of that sort of stuff. And it's how you apply that thinking across the various ministries, fellowship, as you say, food. It's a wonderful messiness.
Yeah, it is going to be messy. And we were saying, because, the numbers of people showing up and attending church have grown, hugely. And, it equated to something like 5.8 million people. So if you saw 5.8 million people saved, our churches would, double in size, and we were just musing through the day of like, okay, where does that leave admin and ops people? Because all their systems, all their processes, all their forms, all the way that they work is all neatly done for this number. And we've got, like, when you've got steady growth, all your systems grow with you, but get rapid growth, suddenly you're like, oh, we're gonna have to do this completely differently now. And I just love the thought of some people like scratching their heads leaving the conference going, oh, well, okay, what does the next 6 months look like? But
Yes.
excited because God's doing something, but also going,
Yes.
this kind of underlying anxiety of, oh man, that means I've got to change. That means that I've got to do things differently. And I don't know how well that went down in some places, but it's good to be challenged, I think.
We're gonna just need bigger spreadsheets, aren't we?
Bigger ones indeed. So that was our kind of first session. And I think it seemed to land. The feedback on it has been really good across UCAN. So thanks for those who did kind of get in touch and do that. Then we kind of went into small groups, didn't we? And people love that valuable time together. Then, I met a number of people who were overwhelmed with the work, overwhelmed with challenges. And so to have a haven and a kind of safe place for people to come for the day and just be encouraged through the word, to meet others, to pray with others. We didn't find out loads about people's situations, but we were able to pray and we were able to stand with you and say, do you know what, we're with you in this. And again, it just leads back to that lovely theme of being stronger together. And then followed by lunch, and then the afternoon sessions were interesting, weren't they? You take us on, John. Run us through some of that.
Yes. So we had an opportunity to split between managers and administrative staff, and in those sessions they were sort of quite focused on things that would be helpful for those particular roles. I was in the manager's team, and we were looking at 5 voices
Yeah.
being the sorts of voices that you instinctively have. It's almost like a personality type, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's the way that you think, it's the way that you approach situations, it's the way that you approach people, and
Yeah.
the idea being that you have a primary voice that you are born with, and that's
Yeah.
what your kind of instinct is. But actually, there are 4 other voices then on top of that, and ways that people communicate. And you can learn to develop those voices and use those voices in certain situations. But it's also about having an understanding of what those voices are, how they
Yeah.
react, some of the strengths of those voices, some of the weaknesses of those voices, and who within your team may have those voices, and how those voices fit together. And that was just a brilliant session. It was fantastic. It was really good to think about it in that way, thinking about ways that people have a primary voice, but also they use other voices, and the benefits of that, and when it's appropriate to do that and when it's not, and also not pigeonholing someone into a particular voice, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
knowing that there's the ability to work between those, but also sticking within the things that you're comfortable with. So that was a fantastic session, and I know you were helping to lead the other session, weren't you, Gavin?
Yeah, so in our session, we just did a quick 10 minutes up front. Just, lots of people were asking us, could you give us like 10 minutes on kind of the gift of administration, where we see it in scripture, and how does that work out in the local church? So we did a little bit of kind of teaching up front. And then we broke down and just did a very similar model to the 5 voices and a kind of teamwork, but a kind of broader one for administrators, just again looking at kind of how do I work and how do other people work, and some of those differences, and how we have to kind of work together and compensate for each other in those things. And Penny just did a great job leading that and taking us through that and thinking about it. And we kind of started off with a little activity of kind of planning a kind of holiday club, and we were doing it in a group, and suddenly you've got different voices immediately acting, and instincts and discussion around how you would do this, what was important, what do you need to prioritize first. And there was just loads of chatter on the table. It was great. And then we were kind of sitting back and reflecting. And then Penny started to introduce the model, and we were like, oh, okay. Yeah, so this is, I'm a connector, or I'm this, or I'm a finisher. And so people were starting to kind of, reflect on what they were like. And I think both of these are useful because they make us quite emotionally intelligent in some ways, of like, how do we come across? How do we work? What's our preferred style? And on my 5 voices, I was the connective, creative, nurturer, and those were my kind of three voices. And we've been chatting about it in the office with the team, and they've been going, yeah, that is so you, that is so you. And I'm like that, and you're like, oh yeah, this, no one likes to be put in a box and said this is exactly what you are, but there's some joy in it as well, of going, oh yeah, actually I am a bit like that, and yeah, I do like to finish things, and I do like that. And it does make you reflect. So what did you work out as, Jon? Did you?
Yeah, I was nurture and a kind of connection. I think were the
Okay.
two key ones that I had. And you're absolutely right. You go through the the different character traits within that voice, and you go, "Oh my word, have you been following me around? Have you been stalking me?" It's it's incredible, but it's great to recognize that within yourself,
Yeah.
because you can kind of get a glimpse as to what it's like to work, with yourself. Then,
Yeah,
it gives you sympathy for other people that you work with,
yeah.
but also then, it can help you hone then your approach to certain
Yeah.
situations, certain conversations, and have a greater understanding of where perhaps people are coming from when you don't necessarily immediately
Yeah.
agree with what they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant.
It's great, and it really made me think, because we've got one person on our team who will, in a team meeting when something's being announced of a new activity or new ministry, and suddenly you get this kind of overwhelm of questions that are coming. Have you done this? Have you thought about this? And how's this going to come across? And all these questions, and you can feel like she can be quite negative, because you think, you can interpret that as like, oh man, question after question after question. But the more we've looked into this kind of 5 voices, the more you start thinking about it, is actually she really just needs the detail. And once she's got the detail, she's fully on board. So it isn't whether she's for it or against it. It's much more of like, actually, here's what information she needs to process. And then there's other voices around the table in our team where you've actually got to ask them first, or you've got to give other people time to process. And like, so you become aware of it. And I think the thing I've come away from is thinking, we lead ourselves better because of this stuff, and we lead others better because of this understanding. And we can all be a bit like, oh, another personality test. Oh no, I don't want to do this. But actually, I think they're quite valuable, and I've enjoyed it. I don't know whether I'd get my pastoral team. I don't know if I get the elders talking about this stuff. That may not happen. But Ray Evans at the FIC is a big fan of this, and I love chatting to him about this stuff. And he's helped kind of elderships, consider these things, and particularly thinking about the kind of primary voice and then their sort of nemesis voice, and how when you come together, you can miss each other quite seriously.
I can't imagine you having a nemesis, Gavin.
Yeah, well, I can't. I think my nemesis voice was like pioneer or something like that.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. Which I was thinking, right, pioneer, how does that work? But the more you read it, you're thinking, okay, yeah, okay, that does make sense. There is some science behind this, isn't there? There is actually
absolutely.
But also there's a joy in it as well of like God's made us all differently, hasn't he? And he's given us gifts. And I love that kind of diversity of just exploring, like, where's people's real strength that you can release them into and see them thrive in what God's called them to do. And there's something cool about that. So if you're a manager listening, it's, there's some stuff you can take away from this, hopefully, and follow up on, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah. So then last session was Mark Parsons, wasn't it? Who did a whole thing on strong
Ecclesiastes and elevators.
Yeah, Ecclesiastes and elevators. Interesting title, which kind of drew people in a bit, didn't it?
It was brilliant.
Tell me about it. What do you think?
I think I was initially drew in by the fantastic AI image that he had of an ecclesiastical image of someone waiting by an elevator along with a load of business people. I thought that was just a brilliant introduction to the subject. But it was a fantastic demonstration of that idea of being stronger together. There was imagery in that. We sort of unpacked how elevators worked and the fact that some of the strings that are holding the elevator up are so thin but so strong at the same time, and that idea that if those strings were individually on the elevator, one of those broke, that's it, the whole thing's going down. But with these strings wrapped together, there's incredible strength in that. Even if sort of one of them breaks in one of the places, there's still that strength. And the brilliant revelation that those strings together, one of the things that's really holding them together is friction. And that fantastic imagery that within our teams, it's really helpful and healthy to have an element of friction holding that together. And that's an encouragement from that respect as well.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? And I was just aware listening to Mark of like the kind of, I'm broken, I'm a sinner, I'm working in a team that's the same, it's broken, it's sinful. And there are going to be conflict and clashes and times when everything's not going to work well, and you're going to feel like, oh, this team is not functioning well. But actually, it's through that kind of friction, like you're saying, that there's growth, isn't there? That things are strengthened, where ideas are made better because people challenge it, and everyone in the room is okay with tension, is okay with that kind of conflict. And it was cleverly done. And I like Mark's illustrations of the lifts and his I can't remember her name now, but the YouTuber that he was referencing, he loved her and he kind of shared it, and a few videos to follow up on, I'm sure, to have a look at. But it was a good reminder. And then just the complexity of team for me, and how some conflicts can be challenging and complex, but the beauty of the team was this gift of forgiveness, and how simple forgiveness is, and how wonderful it is, and how Christ-like it is. And so the complexity of all the teams and the challenges, but the simplicity of applying the gospel to each other and to ourselves makes teams stronger. And it's
Yes.
a great reminder, isn't it, of how to work together when challenges come up. It was helpful. Yeah.
It was a brilliant way to round up the day.
Yeah. So Mark did good. So it was a good conference all in all. I was really pleased with it. And
Yes.
not just the numbers, but just the feedback we've had in terms of the content was great. People just love getting together. I think if you just organize like a spa day or a hotel or or something, people would just come just to be together.
Sounds
Uh,
great.
I was saying at the front, wasn't I? It's like you're gonna forget all the content, but you're gonna make new friends over coffee. You're gonna find connections here where you go, right, I've got new best friends on the other side of
Yeah.
the country, but do you know what I mean? It's just a joy. And what I love about UCAN and why I'm involved in UCAN is that if we can help and support administrators, if we can love them and equip them in their roles, then where they're placed in their churches, and if they're using the gift of administration in their churches, the whole strength and the body is strengthened in that local church,
Mm.
which means that mission is then more effective because you've got people who are using their gifts, serving in different ways. So that link from like UCAN to the local church into mission to take this good news of Jesus out there. That's why I'm involved in it. I love it, and I want to kind of pull that thread, that kind of three-chord thread that Mark's
Yes.
talking about. That administrators and operations managers who get it and go, right, I'm willing to be part of this, and I'm willing to serve others, to make them stronger, to make them better, and there's a lovely generosity about administrators and ops people that you maybe don't always find in some churches and denominations, and yeah, who don't want to share resources or don't want to share stuff, but there's a joy in it, and so yeah, pleased to be part of it, and bring on next summer.
Absolutely. No, I've never met someone at a UCAN conference or another church administrator that I'll just mention that I'm, going through a certain policy or doing a certain thing, and there was like, oh, use mine as a template.
Yeah.
We're sending it over almost in that instant. They're so eager to help out, and that's just
Yeah.
such a lovely support network to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. The generosity, the safe place. We're never going to get this perfectly. We're never going to do everything perfectly, but actually we can inspire and encourage one another to serve our churches and our leaders effectively. And it was lovely in the administrative section of the afternoon of the conference. We were just talking about the gift of administration and how in Acts 6 there's just this lovely, liberating of those leaders to go and give themselves to the word and prayer that results in church growth. And this week, we've been serving. We did a visitor Sunday on Sunday, and we had stacks and stacks of people and visitors, and we did a full-on barbecue, full-on kind of fun fair of activities and crafts and tattoos and face painting. And, it was just a brilliant day. And this ministry just is a joy. Absolutely love it. And yeah, you're in the middle of what, 5-year electrical testing
We've
or
we've got our electrical testing going on at the moment, which is it's a really important thing to do, and it's uh, it's great. It means we have to be adaptable with some of our spaces. Um, I'm currently doing this from home, as there isn't any electricity in the office at the moment, but it's all good. It's all good. We're doing it all together, and we're doing it as a team. I think one of the things I took away from the conference was, and that stronger strength together, we've got as a local community, we're part of something called Frinton Mission, which is all of the local churches coming together for a big mission week, and actually just carrying that idea of
yeah,
strength together, strength as churches into a mission opportunity. That's amazing. That's coming at the end of July, and that we're sort of full steam ahead into that as well. And that's
right.
just a super exciting opportunity, and I think the conference was a real encouragement leading into that.
Oh, brilliant. So tell us, what are you guys planning? What's this mission?
So it's run for over 100 years under
Wow.
multiple different names, and it generally consists of a big marquee going up on the greensward just in front of the beach. All of the churches in the local area then become host to a certain age group.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
throughout the week, We have kids 1, kids 2. There's under stay and play for under 5s. There's a adults section, and there's also kind of roaming people in the street. And then in the marquee, we have amazing events. So we've got comedians, we've got live music.
Yeah.
We've got a Kaylee happening one night.
Oh, sweet.
And it's kind of just all jam packed into this sort of 10-day window of events, celebrations, kids work. And it's so cool working alongside other people within other churches. Sometimes you have people joining from churches outside of Frinton Walton area, and that's lovely as well. And that sense of serving together is brilliant. There's often over 100 volunteers involved with the mission week. So yeah, we're super excited for that as well. And just another that idea of strength together is great.
I love that, the fact that churches are coming together to reach out locally. And I guess, lots of people have got mixed experience on that, haven't you? Certainly in Newport, our churches and churches together are not always as good. But mate, that sounds fantastic. So yeah, you'll have to jump on and fill us in another time about how it all went. Working with the churches.
Yes, absolutely. And anyone, it might be a little bit of a trek for you from Newport, but you're very welcome, Gavin, if you want to come. It's the end of July, but anyone that's local is welcome to come as well.
Oh mate, I love that. So a good conference, mate. You led worship brilliantly at the session. I thoroughly enjoyed you, mate. And
it was a real privilege.
Yeah, it was great. It's good. It's just so good to be together. And if you've not heard of UCAN, and you're involved in administration or operations, or you know somebody else who is, then please check out UCAN. And there's a small membership fee, and it's an opportunity to be part of a network. And there's a whole bunch of training that you can do together, as well as what we already offer through the church office. So please check that out. And get along to a local group. I'm involved in a local group here in South Wales, and we met and just kind of reminisced over the conference. And are you part of a local group up with you, Jon?
Yes, we are the M11 corridor. So there's a brilliant group of us that have started meeting up regularly now, and it's a real blessing to have those local groups and meet in between some of the national conferences and stuff like that, and have that continual contact, praying for each other, going through the various situations, and being able to share resources as well. So the local groups are brilliant.
That's great. Well, please check it out. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Jon, thank you so much for coming on and being a good mate, and sharing your thoughts and feedback from the conference. And like we always say, if you've got any questions, please come and let us know at the church office at questions@thechurchoffice.co.uk. We would love to hear from you, and looking forward to a whole bunch of range of guests who are coming on in the podcast. We always seem to kind of meet really good people. You're like, we've got to get you on the podcast, and really looking forward to hearing about a new kind of computer game for kids.
Oh, amazing.
So Serpent and the Seed. So we're going to get the guy who's developed that on the podcast in the next few months, and share a little bit about his story and about this brilliant new resource. So I love it when these things come to market. I love it.
It never ceases to amaze me, some of the things that people do, how creative they get, and just the real passion for reaching different demographics with different resources. So it's fantastic. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Tech and faith. There's just so much you could say about it. So
love that.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for listening to the podcast, everyone, and we'll see you again. Thank you.